Welcome back. You're watching Newsx. In the Nimisha Priya case, her execution, which was scheduled for tomorrow, 16 July, has officially been postponed another day by the prosecutor's office in Yemen. The government of India, which has been extending full support since the start of the case, has recently intensified efforts to help Nimisha Priya's family gain more time to reach an amicable settlement with the other party. Indian officials have maintained consistent communication with local prison authorities and the prosecutor's office, which has ultimately led to this delay. Governor R.V. Arlikar has stepped in, urging swift MEA intervention to halt Nimisha Priya's execution as talks with the victim's family continue. M.A. Yusuf Ali has assured full financial support, saying money will not be a barrier to secure blood money settlement. We'll talk about this and more with our guest. Joining us on the broadcast is Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, former diplomat. Joyita Basu, editor of the Sunday Guardian, also with us on the program. But before that, let's in fact go to Mr. Santosh Kumar, who's a Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament from the CPI. Mr. Kumar, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, I can.
So thank you for speaking with us. Well, this postponement of her execution is definitely noteworthy, but the fact of the matter is that the hard work is far from over. The government is running from post to pillar, trying to ensure that this does not end in her execution. There are other ways which the government has used in the past as well to deal with countries like Yemen.
Yeah. Actually, this postponement is the one of the happiest news. So we all welcome Keralites, especially Keralites. And of course, the Ministry of External Affairs must have done a splendid job, even though we have political differences with the government of, the ministry that way, politically. But I hope the External Affairs Ministry must have done a good job. But the point is that there are lots of controversies, unfortunately, after this. Who is responsible for this postponement? This is one of the questions. Whether it is a religious leader and some other people. So anyway, lot of confusion, and in Kerala, heated debates on this particular issue. But the point is that finally, maybe for a week or for some days, but it got postponed, and we are very happy. And there is no point in taking credit for this particular by any individual or any organization. But the whole Kerala and the whole country unitedly stood with her. So I hope finally the execution will be what is to say lifted. That's what I hope at this point of time.
So do you think that it's difficult to deal with countries like Yemen and Qatar as well, countries that predominantly follow Sharia law, and at times it becomes very, very difficult to penetrate their legal ecosystem and free Indian citizens?
See, that's a difficult, hilarious task, because these ethnic groups and their leaders are superpower there. No rule of law, nothing. It's a kind of, I'm sorry to say, barbarian kind of civilization prevailing in these areas. What to do? So we have to humbly accept the facts. But I think the External Affairs Ministry's continuous, persistent efforts must have won. In fact, even if I'm a parliament member, and even I'm not sure about why it happened finally, because there are a lot of claims by religious groups and other leaders. But finally the thing is that it got postponed, and we are very happy on hearing this news.
Sir, appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much. Ambassador Mukherjee, we've rescued Indian citizens in the past as well. If you remember, I think it was just last year, ma'am, that a few Indian citizens were accused of espionage, and they too were sentenced to death. The Indian government, the MEA, our leadership did a fantastic job of getting them out. But this is a different case. It's a case of murder, and let's not forget, this is Yemen that we are talking about, ma'am. A predominant part of the country of Yemen, as you and Joyita would know, is controlled and run by the Houthis.
Yes, Vineet, the Sharia law, which talks of blood money, is actually very simple to interpret. The victim's family has to agree to the amount, which is called the blood money, which is paid, and the person who is accused of the murder is immediately released. This is the procedure in many countries which follow Sharia law, not just in Yemen. The difficulty in Yemen is, as you rightly pointed out, that it is under this particular case is under the control of the Houthis, with whom we do not have direct diplomatic contact. Like it's not as if we are dealing with a nation state with whom we have diplomatic relations, an ambassador, an embassy, etc. I presume that in this particular case, we must be using our contacts in Iran, who have huge influence on the Houthis, and we are also using our own very respected interlocutors who are experts in Sharia law. And it is because of that that we were able to achieve this breakthrough for the first time, because the victim's family agreed to meet and negotiate for the blood money. This development happened, I understand, over the last 24 hours. This breakthrough had not happened in all these months leading to the finalization of the date of the execution, which was slated for tomorrow. Now that the victim's family has agreed to meet, the next step is to decide on the amount of blood money and its transfer. Only when the money is transferred and the victim's family agrees that the full amount has been paid, then we have to depend upon the Houthis to release her and to allow her safe travel back to India. So all this in a state where we do not have direct diplomatic contact with the Houthis, and we are clearly going through our Shia contacts and our contacts in Iran and our local contacts, because there are Indians in that part of Yemen who are also very helpful, and the interlocutor who is an expert on Sharia law and who has managed to get this breakthrough done. So, as our colleague who spoke earlier, our co-panelist said, it does sound very strange to an Indian audience because it's not at all in accordance with rule of law. I can see Joyita smiling, but this is something we have to accept. And when you are in such a situation, there's an English proverb which said, "Do as the Romans do." So here, do as the Houthis do. Do what they want us to do to save her life. There's no other solution. And don't forget, Beneath, that once the money is paid, the person is immediately released. There's no question of being in custody anymore.
But ma'am, there's already around 9 crore rupees which have been, accumulated to give to this family, which is over $1 million. Do you think they're waiting for the right amount?
Yes, yes. They are very business-minded, the Arabs. Don't forget that.
I can't forget that, ma'am. I grew up in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. I spent 8 years of my life in the Gulf, so I understand where you're coming from. Joyita, your perspective on what's going on over here. Once again, it's the Sharia law at work. It's either my way or the highway kind of an attitude which applies. We had a few lawyers on the show earlier on as well, and they simply gave up. They said it's not our jurisdiction. We possibly can't interpret and penetrate the Sharia law, which decides all these punishments and leaves no room for any kind of arbitration or even an argument or a negotiation.
Yes, but you know what? Actually, I mean, that's something I found very intriguing, that even the Yemenis, these Houthis, I mean, basically these Yemenis, I mean, what sort of a country it is? It's basically a non-country, you know, that also treats Indians like dirt. Because in this case, what happened was this. Now, why did this, while not justifying what we did, what she did, why did this case, why was this, this accidentally, this guy was murdered? That is because the employer, he had confiscated her passport. And that is the, I mean, obviously there was a very strong oppression, torture angle to it, which nobody is really talking about right now, but that is what led her to do it. Again, I'm going to say, I'm not going to justify. So you see, what shocks me is that, I mean, coming from a country which is, we say we now are the world's 4th largest economy, and to see our citizens being treated like basically slave labor in these, as I said, I mean, Yemen is a non-country. It's a tribal, it's a tribal minded, it's basically radicalized country. It's not even a country. The whole point is that this is not Saudi Arabia. This is not any of the UAE or anything. Think of Yemen. It's a basket case. It's run by the Houthis. Okay, it is uncivilized, and there these people dare to treat Indians like this. All right. So I mean, this is a lesson, I would say, to Indians who are so desperate to go abroad and basically for in search of some better living. I mean, some better money. I don't even know what kind of money this lady was earning from a place like Yemen. But the fact of the matter is that, and look where she is now. The thing is, I mean, there is no value for any, I would say, it's going to sound bad, but I'm going to say it. Any non Muslim life, there is no value for any of these countries. Let's not forget that. So, next time people get so desperate and they start going to Iraq, maybe, or to Yemen, all these countries, I'm not talking about the Gulf countries, although even from there, a lots of horror stories do come. I think we Indians also need to have some self respect and decide, what we want to do, where we want to go. Because you see, what has happened in Yemen in this lady's case, it's not an exception, it's the rule. And that is the problem.
Ambassador Mukherjee, do you concur with Joyita that this is an insight into Indians who perhaps live under the illusion that countries like Yemen, which Joyita said is not even a country, it's perhaps a collection of people in a particular land. And you need to be watchful. You need to make your choices carefully because they are not going to change for us. We have to change.
I agree with Joyita that it's high time that Indians A exercised a bit of self-respect, B that they had some love for their own country, and C that they stopped going to such dangerous destinations. And I think that the MEA should issue a blanket ban for travel of Indians on employment. Obviously, it can't be for holiday or tourism to such dangerous destinations. The only thing I wanted to bring to Joyita's attention was that this particular clause of the Sharia law, it's not just applied to Hindus or Christians, it is equally applied to fellow Muslims. So I have some experience on this. For instance, this blood money business is used in Saudi Arabia by Sunnis against Sunnis. And as I said, they are very business minded. So for us, it's quite amazing to see that they are actually compensating the family with a huge amount of blood money, so much so that they may live in riches forever by the death of one of their relatives. So they just want to make a huge killing, so to speak, on the money part of it, the blood money part of it. In this particular case, I don't think, Vineet, though I'm not an astrologer, they will settle for anything less than $2 million. Hard currency, by the way, not local currency. They will settle for nothing less than $2 million. If we can cuff up $2 million, we will be able to get her out. Because I'm told that they usually, when it's a question of a foreigner, and they, as you said, we are the fourth largest or third largest economy, they'll say, oh, so she comes from a country where they care for their people and they don't want her executed, so let's raise the money. And in any case, what is the worst? She'll be executed. So we will, and there is, as somebody pointed out, there is no room for maneuver. There is no room for negotiation, because this blood money part of it is left directly for negotiation between the victim's family and the family of the accused. In this particular case, the family of the accused is not there. So there is this expert in Sharia law who is doing the negotiation for the accused family back in Kerala. I hope and pray that we get her off. But given the state of law and order in Yemen, beneath, anything can happen. at any point of time. So I hope that they don't take the blood money and then execute her. That can also happen. It's not, you can't rule it out, because in a country where there is no rule of law, they could take the blood money and say, sorry, we executed her before we realized that we got the blood money. So it's a very bad situation to be in.
Sumit Peer, senior political commentator, also joins us on the broadcast. Sumit, in fact, let me put you up to speed as well. Before you arrived, we were talking about Nimisha Priya's execution, the date for which has been postponed. Ambassador Mukherjee and Joyita, of course, lending their respective opinion. It all synopsizes to the fact that Yemen is a backward country. It perhaps is a place which resembles how we were during the Stone Ages. It is also a country which does not respect Indians. It does not understand Indians. We, being the fourth largest economy, need to have better standards towards countries we emigrate to, and that is a lesson learned over here. We'll talk about how the MEA has done, how the government has done in terms of negotiating this delay, or perhaps even this sentencing. It could be declared null and void. But the fact of the matter is, this has all boiled down to the choices that Indians have made. And Sumit, also let us throw in the fact that Yemen is controlled by the Houthis.
Vinny, thank you very much for having me on your show. You put the perspective brilliantly. Vinny, the problem here is in Yemen is a country which lives, breathes and dies by war. It's a country of dying people. It's a country where 80% of the population lives on UN food packets. 80% of the population. It's a country where Muslims have killed fellow Muslims. I think the number is 400,000. 277,000 kids have died, in this fighting and ethnic fighting. It's a country which is proxy of Iran. It's a country which is ruled by Houthis. And Houthis, what they are and what they are up to. They've just sunk 2 ships. It's a country, it's a mini Afghanistan of that part of the world, but predominantly Shia dominated. That's the only difference. Here, no rule of law works. The lesson we have to very, very take, how viable are for us for these countries to travel. Because if you look at Americans and some of the other countries, there's a do's and do nots. You will not see an American going to Yemen. You will ask an American to go to Yemen, he'll say, why, I'm not going. So there are some rules, and which you brilliantly pointed out, Vineet, being the 4th largest economy and becoming 3rd, and what Ambassador Basmati ma'am rightly said, it's a high value catch. Hindi mein kehte na badi pakad. It's a high value catch. When you get somebody like that, these people can pay money. And even she's right. Even if you gave the money, there's no guarantee uske baad bhi kya hoga. All these people can tell you, negotiate ho gaya, this happened, that happened. They can still execute the person. The problem is that this lady is a kafir by their standards. And executing kafirs is a religious duty. And blood money and all might work if for the Muslim, the chances of to be direct, the chances would have been better. But unfortunately, the girl, according to their definition, is a kafir or infidel. So even taking the money and executing her would be seen as a double bounty. It's something, it's a jackpot, whatever. They have done more bad now. It puts a question mark which are the list of the countries where immigration should not be allowed? Which are the list of those dangerous countries where we should ban kind of immigration and letting our people go, or let them give an undertaking? They take entire responsibility. They are entirely on their own. Government of India has nothing to do with that, and they have declared that we are going entirely on of our own, and we have not listened to the advice given by the Government of India. Ministry of External Affairs is entirely our call. Then whatever happens is a different thing. Look, even if you are able to get this one girl out, the problem here is that they will taste the blood. Then you will have a lot of people who might be exactly put in those cases. There are kangaroo courts there. Maulvis and Muttawis rule the law, and 2 Maulvis will get together and put anybody to death. They can put anybody, even can be killed by stones. I mean, that's what happens in Afghanistan. So this Sharia law is very difficult to understand and interpret. The interpretation differs from country to country. There's no manual written. There's not a clause, or there's not an IPC where you can refer to clause. And there's not 2 competent lawyers who are going to argue in front of a court. I mean, even the Sharia law says one lady is half testimony. So if there's a Maulvi on the other side and you have 2 ladies on the side, then the testimony is equal. Or maybe Maulvi will have a better weightage of his testimony. So we are looking at an unfair justice system. We are looking at a justice system which is controlled by religious cliques, and we are looking at a justice system which is heavily male-oriented. It is not a female-oriented justice system. Females are not considered equal. Unfortunate. Females don't have open voter right. Unfortunate. A lot of people think that females are only to breed and have more, produce kids. And a lot of people even in Pakistan believe that the females are for breeding and males are for entertainment. That is why the 90% of the rape which happens in Pakistan is of the male child. So, you are fighting a mentality where things are entirely different, Vineet. We have been brought up in a different world. Things here are pretty transparent, they're clear. But it's a different theocracy which is militarized, wherein Iran calls the shots, wherein anybody can be a warlord. Imagine a country which has lost 500,000 people and almost one third of them kids. 80% of the people live on food packets. What do you expect to negotiate with them? 2 million, what Basmati ma'am rightly points out, is a lot of money for them. And even after that, you don't know what is going to happen. So we have to tread very cautiously here. But the bigger lesson for the people of India is you have to be very, very sure which country you are going as tourists, which country you are going to immigrate, and which country you are going to work for. Because again, we had that fiasco with 30 nurses. ISIS kidnapping them. It was it is the legendary Mr. Ajit Doval who intervened and got them out. Otherwise, would have had a bigger fiasco there. Now, unfortunately, our nurses, our sisters do the most humble profession on planet Earth. Sabse acha kaam. But unfortunately for these radicals and jihadis, even they can be good price catch. You might go there to serve the humanity, to treat the wounded, but for them, you might look at a 2 million bounty on this. Now, what is this $2 million thing we need? Why this $2 million thing? What is this blood money about? I mean, it is so atrocious at a conceptual level. It's like if you are rich, you can get away with killing anybody, and if you are poor, you can get any money, anything for your people who are killed. This doesn't work in civilized societies. This doesn't work in civilized democracies. But you are up against a system which is designed like this. Now the question is, you have to tread very carefully. Even with all your calculations, outcomes, don't know the outcome. Today, India might decide to give the money. Don't blame Dr. Jaishankar tomorrow if the girl doesn't come back, which can be an unfortunate situation here. Because you don't know what these Maulvis will. They say, okay, now because the money doubles.
Fair enough, Sumit. Joyita, Ambassador Mukherjee, appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.